Hi guys, welcome back. The next update on my TRT journey. So as you know, if you watched the first videos, I've had my test results. They were very low, and the next stage was to talk to one of the doctors at Optimail, the private place that I'm dealing with. I selected them just based on reviews on the internet and going through a number of companies. They seem to come out pretty well, so I went with those guys and they've been fantastic up to now. So I had a phone appointment with the doctor, but it was actually a video appointment on a sort of Teams meeting scenario, and that could have lasted up to about an hour. We spent about 40 minutes on the phone. Really good guy. He went through the blood test that I did in great detail, and he was very careful to go through any of the levels that were slightly concerning. I mentioned before I had a couple of levels that were up. He really knew his stuff, unlike the NHS doctors that I've dealt with before. He straight away understood, you know, creatinine was a byproduct from the creatine use, so he asked me immediately, had I been taking creatine? I said yes, and he said, okay, that explains that. You know, have you been taking an iron supplement because my iron levels were high? Yes, again. So he was very useful there. Went through everything else, which was fine. And he was also concerned, you know, because I went into my history with him, and we're getting a bit personal now, but I'm very happy to share because there's going to be plenty of guys that may have had the same issues or are suffering from low testosterone. So all the time, you know, I've never in any of my serious relationships made a girl pregnant. And I think I've mentioned this before, but we've never like super wanted children, but we kind of felt like if God blessed us with some, that would be great. Both of those were very long-term relationships where we were financially able to support children if we were to have one. So it was kind of a responsible decision left in the hands of God, if you like. And that never happened, you know, and the girls had previously had children. So I always wondered if there was anything wrong with me per se, and the doctor very kindly sent out a test that you basically conduct to see. It's like a swim count test for sperm that assesses, you know, how healthy your sperm is. I did that test myself at home, pretty graphic, but there we go. He didn't send me anyone to help with the test, unfortunately. I had to do it myself, and that came back as being low. It doesn't give you a finite sort of how low or whatever. It's just two settings on there of basically either you're above healthy range or you're below healthy range. So I was below healthy range, so it seems clear there is an underlying issue, and that might be why throughout my whole life that if I've had some sort of endocrine problem, that might be why I was incredibly fat for most of the time when I was growing up, and I've had to diet like a complete crazy person to basically sustain, you know, a reasonable body fat level. If my hormones are all out of whack, that would tie into that. And the doctor asked all about that. We went through, you know, the symptoms I've been having of feeling tired. He then told me a few other symptoms that I haven't even really considered, to do with aching joints. You know, the fact that I've compressed some vertebrae in my back before from weightlifting. He said that could even be a side effect of endocrine disruption, because if you have very low estrogen levels, that can play havoc with your bone density, and that might be why I've had some issues there. So very interesting, and slightly concerning that, you know, that it can lead to some very serious side effects which I didn't even consider, and it could be why I wake up with an achy back every morning. So once we went through that stage, he then signed me off for therapy, you know, if I wish to proceed. And I would say here, I've got no reason to be dishonest about this. You know, if I didn't like this company, I would have simply said, hey, they were useless and I'm going with a different company. I'm not paid by them or anything like that. I do get money if you click on the referral links, but to put that into context, I would have done that for any company that I was pushing on here that I liked if they had a referral scheme, because we have to take all the money we can get to make these videos basically. Yeah, he then, you know, asked, these are the options for therapy. So the options I was given from them were basically a cream. The downside of the cream is that if you sweat or you get it wet or anything like that, then you have to reapply it. When you apply it, you have to leave it on for like half an hour to an hour to completely dry. If you apply it and it's wet and then you just pull clothes on over the top of it, it's going to massively reduce the effect it has, and it's going to affect your blood levels, which is not good. So that's a bit of a pain. You also have to be very careful about who you're touching if you've got that on your skin, because if you go and start hugging your wife and stuff, she might start growing a beard, so you don't want to do that either. And your kids, obviously, you know, it's a bit concerning. Your dog might lick you. There's all kinds of problems associated with the cream. On the plus side for the cream, if you're someone that absolutely can't stand needles, then that would be the only option for you, because the other options are both needle based. People might think, well, why can't you take a tablet? It's pretty simple. That testosterone would be, you know, the way it goes into the body. If you were to eat it and it goes through your stomach and then processed through your liver, etc., it would be broken down and dispersed before it ever made it to your bloodstream. So it'd have no medical effect on you. You could like swallow a half pint of testosterone in a liquid and you might feel a bit ill, but you wouldn't suddenly become Arnold Schwarzenegger. Your body would just get rid of it all. It would be filtered out. It'd probably do your liver a lot of harm at the same time. So the other two options were both injectable. The premium option, which was testosterone cypionate. So testosterone cypionate is a long ester testosterone. The ester is basically the carrier of the testosterone that you're trying to take, and that will dictate how long it lasts in your blood. It's called a half-life. After X amount of days, you know, you would only have half the amount in the bloodstream as you did when you first took the substance. So the cypionate is a very long and stable ester. It's preferable for that. So if you're someone that didn't like needles but was happy to inject sometimes, the cypionate might be a way forward, because being a long ester, it's easier to maintain stable blood levels with that. It's also slightly thinner, so you can get away with using a very slim needle like an insulin needle for that. The cypionate can break down in fat cells okay, so if you didn't go into muscle and you just injected, you know, subsurface with an insulin needle into some fat cells, you would still get blood levels of testosterone that were fine and successful and fairly balanced. On the downside, it was £40 more expensive per month than the other option, so that was about £100 a month, and that's obviously the premium one to go for, unless like me you're not too bothered about injections. I don't care about those at all, especially these tiny little needles, so I was happy to save some money there. So the option I actually went for was Testosterone, which is a combination of testosterone esters altogether. The idea originally being that that was kind of supposed to give you very stable blood levels. It didn't quite work out that way. It's probably less of a stable option blood level wise than cypionate. However, you can maintain stable blood levels of any drug by the frequency of administration. You know, if you've got a drug with a very long half-life, instead of taking a great big whack of the drug to start with, and then you have this like high peak in the system and it slowly declines over time, you would be better off breaking the dose into multiple doses. So if you really wanted to get anal about your blood levels, you would inject something once every day. And that almost mimics the body's own output for those of you that wanted to do that. But apart from that, it's going to lessen the side effect chances. Side effects with these sort of hormones are generally because our blood levels have kind of shot up and shot back down again. That's exactly what you see with teenagers. You know, they get spots, acne, mood swings. All the side effects we associate with hormonal changes are because they're having wild swings in hormone output as their bodies are kind of getting used to putting the stuff out there. And it's the same with this, that we don't want to have those wild swings. Having an injection protocol or having a dosage protocol that can balance that out is very sensible. So I'm going to start with twice a week. The doctor actually gives me a prescription of how much to take twice a week. I'm starting on 1.6 ml twice a week, which is a considerably low dose, but that's the sensible way to go. So I will then be doing that for 6 weeks, whereby they will then look at my blood levels again and assess, you know, does he need a little more, does he need a little less? Because we're all different. There's no one fixed dosage for everyone. They have to look at your blood levels, see how your body responds and handles it, and then they can adjust the dose accordingly. That is the most sensible way. People going, oh, well, you know, I want to take like the highest dose or whatever. Yeah, I get what you're saying. We all want to be kind of on the high side on our testosterone levels, or the high side of normal. But it would be really silly to start on quite kind of a high dose and then find that actually for you specifically that made your blood levels go crazy and you had all these bad side effects going on. I've hardly got any hair left, so the last thing I want to do is be taking mega doses of testosterone and increase my chances of further baldness. That's why I keep these hats on. Other things to do with your health as well. You know, I care about my heart health, I care about my cholesterol levels and my blood pressure and all that kind of thing, and that's all serious stuff. You know, laughing aside about the hair scenario, if you're taking way too much, you're massively increasing your chances of having some of those other side effects which could be serious for guys of our age. You might get away with that kind of thing when you're like a fit 20-year-old in the gym. You might not, but you're definitely more likely to get away with it at that age than you are like me at 48, where I'm already worried about things like cardiovascular health. I don't want to add more concerns to that. So just to show what arrived, we have a vial of Testosterone there, which you can see, the liquid in there, all obviously legitimately prescribed. You can get your needles and such from the Optimail, or you can order them yourself. I actually had someone in the medical industry that I know that was able to supply me with some at a cheap rate, but to be fair, Optimails were a very good price. Then you need some large size needles. These are green needles. They are 21 gauge needles. They're very thick. You wouldn't particularly want to use them on yourself because they would be quite uncomfortable. You could, but you know, it wouldn't be that comfortable, and therefore actually drawing the liquid out, because it is quite thick. It's an oil-based liquid, and I should also mention they kindly put on there it does contain peanuts in the Testosterone, so the doctor did go through that, any allergies and things like that. If you're allergic to peanuts, definitely don't go for the Testosterone option because you will probably die on the spot. I don't have any allergies, thank God. Then I had also some orange needles, and I've got these 25 gauge needles which are a little bit thicker than insulin needles, but they will be able to pass the slightly thicker Testosterone liquid through them, and it should be a fairly reasonable injection with those. I'm not going to televise the injection, no one wants to see me doing that, but I will give an update, you know, as I start feeling the effects of it. I would imagine it could take anything up to like 6 weeks to feel any different. I would imagine maybe in 2 or 3 weeks time there will start to be some kind of noticeable effect, and I will let you guys know about it. Any questions, chuck them below. I'll do my best to answer them. I've done my utmost to research this subject to make sure I'm stepping in the right direction. It certainly feels like I am based on the test results, and I look forward to feeling a bit more upbeat, a bit less tired, and maybe we'll see some interesting stuff going on in the gym as well. If I get any sort of gains or increases in my weights there, I'll let you know. I'll leave the links in the description. Like I said, you know, we're dependent on this channel. We're only small. We're coming up for 30,000 subscribers, so we don't generate huge revenue off YouTube or anything. I'm not living a luxury lifestyle, so any referral clicks, a few pounds here and there, it all makes a difference and goes towards producing more content, a lot of which I have to buy out of my own pocket, and that helps to replenish it somewhat. So thank you very much if you're one of the people that clicked on those. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because that helps as well, trying to build the channel as much as possible. I am actually going to do a video about YouTube earnings, because people, you know, have some very varied opinions on that. So maybe you'd like to hear about exactly what you can get, you know, if you're sat like me at sort of just under 30,000 subscribers, the kind of money that comes in, the kind of opportunities that come in, and where I want to be, because believe me, it is not enough to live on by any means. That's why I have a full-time job as well. Thanks for watching, take care, I'll catch you all next time.